and welcome back to the forum, part 2. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us for episode 3. Topic today is secret sadness and our silence to suicide in youth. And our special guest today that we have welcoming back is Stephanie, Sky, and Jaslyn. And this is part 2, and so we're picking up on question number 5. All right, question number 5. If a virtual support group for kids existed to talk about things like depression, suicide, stress, and emotional pain, if something like that was created, would that be something that you and or your friends would consider participating in? Why or why not? And this is, again, a virtual support group.
Personally, I would be down for that. Just talking about how I feel at the moment, my thoughts. I'm not sure my friends would be okay with putting how they feel out on the web or anything. But me personally, I wouldn't mind it.
Definitely, if there was a virtual group for kids my age or even older who have experienced what I'm experiencing and can kind of just give their tips, or if they can give their tips on how they handled it and got better, I would 100% join it. And that's just because I feel like sometimes it's easier to talk to people that you don't know personally, because really what you're not afraid to get judged by them. And I just think that having people, it doesn't matter if you know them or not, but having someone who's actually there for you is a great feeling. So I feel like anyone who's going through all these things would definitely join it, and I think it would be a great idea because so many teenagers, so many kids need help, and they're not getting the help that they need, and they're not able to talk to anyone because they're afraid. And no one should ever be afraid to speak their emotion, talk about their feelings or anything like that. So I definitely think that there should be a virtual support group.
Of course, yes, because myself, I don't know how to deal with one of those days where I just feel down and I just don't know what to do and I don't feel myself. And I feel like if we had a support group, a virtual support group, I feel like we're in the comfort of our homes, and I feel like that would be so much fun, not only to be able to support one another, but to be able to share how we deal with certain situations. And when it comes to emotional pain, I feel like we should be able to let that out instead of bottling it down and pushing it down until there's not, you don't have any much room, and you just start developing bad habits. You turn to different substances for relief. And I feel like we should be able to have a little support group with kids who are dealing with the same things, and it would make a huge difference in our schools, in our group of kids, and everything. And it's just, I feel like it would be a good thing to just be able to sit down, talk for a while. It doesn't have to be 2 hours long. It can be 30 minutes where we just sit down, talk about our feelings and how we're dealing with them and how we're continuing to better ourselves and educate ourselves. And I think that's really important.
Thank you, ladies, so much for that feedback. It sounds like all 3 of you all would be open to attending or participating in a virtual support group. But I really want to take note to what Jaslyn mentioned, which was that even though she was open to it, she felt like friends her age would have apprehensions to putting themselves out there and sharing their thoughts and feelings either on the web or just out in public with people that they didn't know. So for adults who are listening, definitely keep that in mind. I think that it sounds like from you, based on you ladies' feedback, that it would be worth it for those who are open to it, but just to keep in mind that a lot of folks wouldn't be. And I found that to be the case as well, just with wanting to do this interview, that a lot of people were interested in the topic, but not so interested in wanting to go on camera and talk about it because it's a sensitive topic. So that definitely resonates with me. So, all right, we're going to first, I want to thank Sky because Sky has to leave us. So thank you so much, Sky, for contributing to the forum and sharing your heart on this sensitive topic. It's going to help, I believe, so many young people and to help adults develop programs and outreaches to help you. So I want to thank you, Sky. But continuing on with us for a few more questions, Stephanie and Jaslyn will be continuing. So let's move on to question number 6. So adults define stigma as shame or embarrassment about a topic or social issue. Why do you think there is so much silence and shame and nervousness and embarrassment about topics like teen suicide, teen depression, emotional pain, or high stress?
I just feel like when someone like says like depression or like they have depression or like they are having like suicidal thoughts, it's people portray that as like a joke or something of that nature because you see it all the time. Things like this is like joked around, like it's people joke about this all the time on social media, and it's disgusting to me. Like you're joking about like these diseases or like what people are actually going through. I just feel like people don't take it as serious as it needs to be taken. So that could be why that's probably why people stay silent about it, because they probably feel like no one would take them seriously or anything.
I feel like adults and young adults look at us and they see just emotional teens. Us going through puberty, not knowing how to deal with our emotions, not being able to differ what we're feeling, if we're feeling emotional pain, or if we're actually going through some stuff. And I feel like they try to find every excuse possible because they think that we're just moody teenagers, when they don't realize that we have feelings, and some of us, we do know what we're feeling, and some of us don't have the greatest thoughts running through our head, and we need help, and we need to know how to be able to deal with all of these, and we can't do that without the adults being able to guide us. So I feel like it's we need help from one another to not feel ashamed to talk about these topics, and to actually be able to sit down and have a normal conversation and actually talk about these things, because they're serious. They're not something to be like swept under the rug. They're something that are taking innocent 16, maybe even 13-year-old lives. And I feel as if we can do anything to help one another, I think we should be able to do that and not put excuses on everything.
Wow, thank you, ladies. That was striking to me what you all shared. Stephanie saying that, adults, your feeling is that adults don't take teens seriously, and they kind of, push off you guys' cry for help as, just being teenagers. And then Jaslyn saying that teens your age and in your circle kind of joke about it on social media, and so that makes it to where other teens are more silent about it because of how friends are expressing themselves on social media like as a joke. So it's hard to take yourselves seriously as young people. So I thought that was really profound what you guys shared, so thank you all so much. I'm going to move us on. And it rolls right into question 7. What do you all want adults to know and understand about how you and other teenagers your age are feeling?
I want them to know that, like, don't see it as a joke or like hormones or anything. You should like really listen to your kids and what they have to say, because it could be a sign of anything. Just hear them out, listen to what they have to say, and just take them seriously. Don't joke about it.
I want them to understand that we are not moody teenagers, and our hormones are not all over the place, and we don't know what we're talking about, and we don't know what we're experiencing, because at a young age we do. Whether we like it or not, we have to understand that we have feelings and we have emotions and we have stress and we're going through pain, we're hurting, and we don't know how to deal with it. We're young, we're inexperienced, and we need adults to be able to guide us through these things. And to be honest, if I could have the help to go through everyday things and to be able to sit down with an adult who's already been through all of this and get their advice, we would be talking for hours and hours and hours. And I just feel like they should be able to understand that we're not trying to get attention, and we're not trying to gain we don't want anyone's pity. We want to be heard. We want to be, at least I want to be heard. I want somebody to look at me and be like, hey, this is how I went through it. Try to do something similar. Try to find methods that work for one another to work, because every single teen is different. And I feel as if we all deal with pain and we stress and nervousness, embarrassment in different ways. And I just feel like that should be a normal conversation, a serious and normal conversation.
Thank you, ladies, so much for that. Now I just want to recap for our adult audience and teens, that will be helping teens. The takeaway that I got from what you both said was that do not count us out as just hormonal teenagers. Take us seriously, listen to us, guide us, walk through this with us. That really resonated with me, and I want to thank you ladies for sharing that. And I want to recap for those who are joining us for part 2. In my intro, I mentioned that according to the CDC, that 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs to someone around them before they attempted. So it's just about us listening and about us taking what young people are telling us seriously. And that leads us into our 8th question, our last question, which is, what should adults be doing to help teens? What should we do?
Listen. Sit down. Don't say a word. Listen. Listen. Don't let it go through one ear and out the other. Actually analyze what they're saying and what they're telling you, because if a teenager is opening up to an adult, it's because they want help. They need it and they want it. They are looking for it. And if you shut them out, they are not going to open up ever again. Teens are very hard. At least I am. I'm very hard to open up to people. It's very hard for me to look at somebody and tell them what I'm dealing with, because I don't like having other people rely on me and all of these things. And I feel as if adults can sit down and actually listen and analyze and try to comprehend and understand what is going through their kid's head. That would not only make a difference for the adult, but for the child and future generations, because you're sitting down, you're like, oh, well, when I was feeling this way, my dad or my counselor or my teacher or my friend's mom or my grandma told me to do this, and this, and it worked for me, or it didn't work for me, and I did this. And with future generations, we can be like, hey, this is how I dealt with this problem. Maybe you can do the same. Maybe you can encourage them to not feel ashamed and embarrassed to talk about all of these emotions that they're feeling, from stress to anger to happiness to feeling as if they're like on cloud nine, to feeling like they're rock bottom, to feel like they're high in the sky, or if they're feeling like gum on somebody's shoe. I feel like adults need to listen and take into consideration that this is the generation of tomorrow. We are building these kids to be the leaders of tomorrow. And if you're teaching us to shut down our emotions, if you're teaching us to bottle up everything that we're supposed to not be feeling because we're moody teenagers and we don't know what we're talking about, it's gonna be the same story over and over again, maybe even worse. So that's my take on this. And yeah, so just listen. That's all I ask.
Like I said in question 7, just take them seriously. Listen to what they have to say. Be there for them. Like, even when they say they don't need it, they probably do. So just be there when they need it and just hear them out. Listen, like, watch out for like the signs or anything.
Thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your heart. Message received. Listen, listen, listen. And if someone isn't saying something, ask some questions and listen. I want to thank you all so much. I believe this is such an important conversation to have. The silence about this issue with young people is deafening, and I just appreciate you ladies for participating in the forum and telling us your thoughts and the impressions and perceptions that you have about your friends and people in your circle about this topic. So I want to thank you, and I want to remind our audience at the outset, I'm going to put up, my daughter and I will put up a hotline for you to have as a resource if anyone that you know is experiencing thoughts of suicide or depression or extreme sadness. I encourage you all to reach out to the number on the screen. I'm going to also put on the screen an web address to go to for more resources that you can look up about warning signs of depression, extreme sadness, emotional pain, and suicide. I think if we all get together and we all empower ourselves about warning signs and not being afraid to ask questions, listening more, and having a dialogue about these things, I think that we can turn the table on some of these statistics. Remember what I said in the very beginning in part 1, over 3,000 young people attempt suicide every single day in our nation. And that is worth talking about. And I hope that this will start a conversation in your home and with young people that are in your circle that you know. Again, my name is Tori Collier. I want to thank my young people for being on the forum. Let's thank them again, audience. We had Sky and Jaslyn and Stephanie. So I want to let you all say goodbye.
So I guess this is goodbye.
I want to thank Tori Collier, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Bailey for letting me have this opportunity to express my voice and to use my voice for good, and for letting me have a platform to share my thoughts. So thank you. Goodbye. Thank you, Bailey, again. This is amazing. What y'all are doing is amazing. Okay, bye.
You are so welcome. It was my pleasure to have you all on the show, and I want to thank you again. And I want to thank you, our audience. You are a part of the forum. You also are our guest, and I want to thank you so much. Again, look at the resources that Bailey's going to put across the screen coming up next. And I hope you'll join us for our next episode when we'll be talking about freedom, policing, and protests. Until then, we'll see you next time on The Forum.
No son ni Reebok ni Sonai, nah. Sin estilista luzco fly, yes. La Rosalía me dice que luzco guay. No te lo niego porque yo sé lo que hay. Lo que se ve no se